So, what is law enforcement not getting? How are these people not in prison? You've got them for so many crimes, it's scary. In a real prison on paper, so I can sue them, their families, every evil scum motherfucker involved with this. And this repeated sexual violence, the theft, the crime, etc. You got them for psychological torture. It's more than obvious I'm being psychologically tortured and abused with this technology. You got them for breaches of Nuremberg Code. You've got them for neurophysiological torture. You've got them for witness tampering in the lease, from technological threats through hacking or bombarding me with telepathy. So that's witness tampering. You've got them for RICO, terrorism. You've got them for intimidating and coercing civilian populations. You've got them for attempts of humiliation torture, but they failed. You've got them for conspiracy to murder in the form of trying to misdirect self-defense through impersonation and assault, or even trying to direct self-defense through using their own being with repeated assault and trying to perform a lure and kill and then play stupid, oh, the tech's not real, or whatever the hell they're doing. You've got them for RICO and betting manipulation and robbery, because betting manipulation is robbery. So how are these people just not in prison by now? You got them for witness tampering involving RICO, terrorism, economic espionage. You've got them for IP theft and data theft. How are these people not frying in prison? And what is this realm for retarded people and misinformation that people rely on instead of reality? How is this whole community of people not in prison for life? Everyone involved with these crimes and involved with this sexual violence, involved with this psychological torture, involved with these illegal weapons testing and illegal weapons use, involved with this big-time witness tampering with these neurophysiological weapons and implantable devices, involved with this witness tampering involving synthetic telepathy, involved with this repeated stalking and harassment with their satellite cameras and their implantable devices and telepathy and their repeated monitoring, the repeated stalking of my computer and breaking into my computer, which is felony hacking crimes. Their repeated lying to law enforcement, which is obstruction of justice involving terrorism, RICO, organized crime, illegal weapons manufacturing and distribution, theft of intellectual property, etc. How are they not in prison? You've got them for so many crimes, it's ridiculous. I mean, what you got them for? Witness tampering, psychological torture, and sexual torture, which is like 60 years right there. And you've got them for multiple accounts of intimidating and coercing civilian populations through large-scale blackmail, large-scale bribery, may also be considered terrorism. Making these fake videos I hear about via telepathy, where they're making videos of harming people and God knows what else and broadcasting them to people. You've got them for threatening to harm me and my family in your little computer world where they're always threatening to harm me and my family. I mean, these kids are terrorists. That's life in prison. Let's shut this down and get these kids in prison where terrorists belong. Before everyone in America becomes culpable or an accomplice or accessory, for crying out loud. Let's get these serial killers in prison. Oh, not to mention, let's freeze and seize these guys' assets and get them in prison where they belong, because we don't need terrorists with large sums of money, influence, and power, with psychiatric illness and homicidal tendencies. We don't want to, like I've said a million times, people more Satan than Satan, with large sums of money, influence, power, and large sums of money, and they're also more than mentally unstable and homicidal maniacs. That's not a good idea to let those guys have large sums of money, and it's definitely not a good idea to let them wear a mask and keep their face clean. I think only a moron would do that. Oh, this guy's more Satan than Satan. Let's give him a mask to make him look like Jesus or look like a decent fellow. We'll give him large sums of money, power, and influence. We'll give him a network so he can commit more crimes and distribute money to terrorists and criminals. I mean, are these people crazy? These kids have demonstrated over and over they are more Satan than Satan. And someone's putting large sums of money in their hands, advanced weaponry in their hands, giving them a clean face, and not putting them in a prison where they belong. These kids need to go to prison. Let's wake up. It's really a no-brainer, and it's more than infuriating. I don't mean to be a dick, but look, these kids are murderers. They're rapists. They're involved with ritualistic community sexual assault. They're involved in RICO and mafia-like crimes. They're involved in terrorism. They're endangering humanity. Why do you want large sums of money, power, influence, and clean faces in the hands of people who endanger humanity and who conspire to rape mankind of their free will with implantation and human programming? Not a good idea. And then they demonstrate clear signs of more than psychiatric illness and that they're unfit to be in society. They try to mutilate people's genitals for entertainment. They watch disabled people having private time for entertainment as a community while they sexually violate them. And And there's some other reasons, other key points. They endanger humanity and don't even think it's a big deal. That's another sign of psychiatric illness. They're endangering themselves by the crimes they are involved in and don't think it's a big deal, and they demonstrate inhuman stupidity. And they're armed with weapons, advanced weapons such as implantation weapons, satellite weapons, and neurophysiological weapons. Computer weapons, which may even be considered weapons of mass destruction. Some of these computer systems they have in platforms. A global terrorist weapon that I characterized in my Department of Justice letter. They have platforms for impersonation and using people of influence's faces, even their own voices, potentially with voice modulation. And then they can use, like I said, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. Sometimes, a gun can kill a few, but a tongue can vanquish an army, maybe even the whole globe, depending on whose voice they're using and whose face. So these kids with these highly advanced deepfakes and voice modulation stuff, if they have a global platform to communicate ideas, as I was saying the other day, if they have a global platform to communicate ideas with the voice of the Pope and the face of the Pope, for instance, or someone influential, or like a president or something, and then they're pushing ideas and thoughts, that can be a weapon. So that's another key piece of this. So if they're using people of influence with credibility and respected people and using their face and a modulated voice and people actually think that's real, that's also a dangerous weapon these kids are using from the vibe I'm getting. So these people need to go to prison. Let's wake up. And if they're intimidating and coercing civilian populations, or they're trying to use that global terrorist weapon and that platform to influence people while indirectly intimidating and coercing civilian populations based off of who they try to direct that weapon at, that's terrorism. So let's wake up.